All right, welcome to the Sports Guys. This is our Super Bowl 60 reaction. We had a really great time yesterday at Rob's house. He and I actually got to watch the game together this year. He had a big group there. We had a lot of great food. We had wings and pizza, and we had beer and all kinds of stuff. How you doing, Robbie?
Doing great. Thanks for coming, Tommy. We got to celebrate your birthday, which is tomorrow. So
Yep.
everybody wish him a happy birthday. We got to roll out a cake. I did milkshakes at halftime, and we had a blast. We had a bunch of neighbors over, family, kids were there. I let them stay up late. Father of the year over here. Not exactly, but it wasn't. It felt like it wasn't quite as late as normal, but we had a great time. It was a really good
We
event.
had so much food that you didn't even whip out the nachos. We had so many great options. I mean, the wings were
Yeah.
fantastic. The pizza was great. Your little
Made
burgers were a big
sliders.
hit. Yeah, those were
Yeah, I made
great.
sliders.
With cheese, and then I think the milkshakes really took everyone by surprise. Those were fantastic. So, and goes back to a tradition we used to do with our dad. So that was fun.
Yep, my dad used to always make milkshakes at halftime of the Redskins games. So that's always been something in our house. So anyway,
So,
great time.
so I wish that the game was as good as the time we had because to me the game was kind of a stinker. You look at back at history, and there always are some blowouts. You had the one year that John Elway in his first Super Bowl lost 55-10. You had the years where the Redskins blew out the Bills 49-17, those kind of games. And people are just disinterested by the early third quarter, and that's really how it felt in this game too. It felt like the Patriots could not do anything. It got to 19-0, and everyone just kind of tuned out, or if they were watching, they were kind of casually watching but looking at their phones. So overall thoughts about the game itself and how it could have been better.
Well, I've had a lot of time to reflect on this now, about 24 hours later, and I really feel like a lot of heat going on Drake May. I think some of it is deserved, and a lot of it isn't. I feel like the Patriots are a little ahead of schedule and actually got lucky getting to the Super Bowl. I don't mean it in any derogatory way. I really think highly of Vrabel, their coach, but I do believe that they had some deficiencies in their roster, and it wasn't exposed in the normal vetting process of the playoffs because they had such a lucky streak of circumstances that either had them go up against disastrous performances, or injuries where quarterbacks are out.
Mm-hmm.
They just had a really lucky run all the way through. And then when they
I
hit the
agree.
Super Bowl, they were up against the big boys, and they didn't really belong there. But I think they're not far away from Super Bowl caliber, and I think they just need to shore up a few spots. And the biggest thing I took away from it was I really didn't like their game plan at all. I think it was really a coaching malfunction, and it wasn't even Vrabel because I think his defense that he really puts his stamp on toughness.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like his team was very tough and played hard.
Mm-hmm.
They kept, um, one stat tells you something. Seattle was 1 for 4 in the red zone,
I saw that. Yep.
so they clearly the Patriots defense did its job.
They were forcing them to kick field goals, which is what you
Forcing
want.
field goals and
Mhm.
looking back at their offense and saying, "Give us something," and they wouldn't. And so, I think the game plan was dreadful. It was worse than bad, and I think that was really the biggest problem. There were other problems. The offensive line didn't play well. I think they're capable of playing a little better than that. But I do think that Seattle's defensive line would whip them on most days. But if you have the right game plan, I think you could play that game and make it close.
I
Uh,
think
and and I don't think the right game plan was in place. Therefore, it never felt close.
I think Vrabel showed his hands in the post-game press conference. What they were trying to do, was to jump out to a lead. They figured that they couldn't really beat Seattle, which is a superior team, unless they had a lead. And they also knew they were going to have to win the turnover battle by pretty substantial, probably by 2 or 3 turnovers. So they were essentially trying to jump routes, and they were trying to blitz, and they were bringing safeties, and they were doing all kinds of wild things that I don't think Vrabel would have done it in a normal situation. He's a pretty conservative coach, but they really were trying to roll the dice and they were trying to create some kind of situation that'd be an advantage for them. And unfortunately for them, it just didn't work. They ended up going down 9-0 at half. They had 7 straight punts to open the half. It just was an abysmal offensive performance, and they got themselves in a really bad spot. And they just couldn't recover. They had that great fourth quarter. They rolled up 250 yards of offense in the fourth quarter and 13 points, but it was just too late. They were way behind at that point.
If you didn't watch the game and you look at the stats, it looks pretty even, actually, which is a very strange phenomenon because it's one of the most lopsided games I've seen. And the stats are not lopsided except for the turnovers. So you really have to dig into this game, and you had to have watched it to see the kind of domination we're talking about. Oftentimes, when you have this level of stats, you'll have a team that goes out front, and then the team comes back, and it ends up being a really close game, even though it felt like a total domination in the first half, etc. This game was a total domination until Seattle went into somewhat of a prevent type thing, just was running the clock out. And New England put up some stats and some points at the end, but they were insignificant and didn't matter.
And even if you're not going to be a running team, which they were just a so-so running team all year, if you're not going to be a running team, you still have to run it some to keep the other team honest. And what I thought I saw the 4 starters for Seattle just absolutely feasting and having the day of their lives. It was one of the best performances I've ever seen. But then when I looked into the stats, Robbie, they were rushing 8 or 9 deep. They were keeping these guys fresh. You had third-string defensive linemen getting sacks. I don't think I've ever seen a defensive line that's so deep. They're like 2 and 3 deep at every position. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
guys you never
really
heard
have a
of.
lot of depth.
And so, they just clearly the Seattle defensive line and the Seattle game plan won out.
Linebackers, safeties, every level was out of control.
The way they tackle, good. I mean, they never give you any yards after catch. They tackle you immediately as soon as you catch it. So it's just the defense was just fantastic, and the Patriots defense was very good too. I mean, I have to say it really was.
Defense was awesome. They kept everyone in the game as long as they could, but there was no offensive help, and that was really because Seattle's defense was that good.
Do you think the best player on the Patriots is Christian Gonzalez? He just popped off the page. He's just fantastic.
Yeah.
He is really fantastic. I mean, he made all kinds of plays in this game to try to keep them in the ball game. But
I'm a big fan of Mac Hollins. I like him. He's not only crazy, but he's good. Like he's kind of a wild man out there. He's always making plays. He did what he could. He scored a touchdown, 78 yards receiving.
What I saw was one team that could run the ball, the Seattle Seahawks. The other team could not. I saw one team where the guy was under extreme pressure on every play, whether he was sacked or not, and he was trying to step up into the pocket, and there was no pocket. Essentially, it was collapsed already. And he couldn't even squeeze out to go try to run the ball because Drake May's a pretty good runner.
This is really the point. This is why I put the blame on the offensive game plan, and I have to assume that Vrabel had some input on it. But really, we're talking about Josh McDaniels, and his idea was this defensive line's so tough, we're not going to be able to run against it. So let's throw every down. That's a really bad game plan. I mean, I'm not saying that you never throw. What I'm saying is you had to get to balance. How do you get to balance? I'm going to run my running back into a brick wall a bunch of times and see if I can soften it up, try and find some spots. You gotta get that running game going. Even if in the beginning it looks like it's not working, you have to soften up that defense so that play action works. And then there's a whole bunch of other things that they can do. But 5-step drops against that defense when your offensive line's getting whipped is malpractice, and that's what was happening. So I think McDaniels probably can't sleep right now because he knows what he did.
Yeah.
It was an absolutely atrocious. And I like the guy, and I'm impressed by
His
him. He's
ninth
been in,
his ninth Super Bowl, by the way. So he's a
I think
really
it
great
was,
coordinator.
I thought it was 10th Super Bowl. Anyway, he's been there a lot of times. He should have known better than to roll out that game plan. He was scared of running a ball against them, so he's going to do 5-step drops with his second year quarterback that's played terribly in the playoffs. I mean, I can't think of a worse game plan. So it's
Yeah.
really there's a lot of blame to go around for a performance like that. Mostly it's just there was a disparity in talent, which you can't actually do much about, but there are ways that you can accentuate your talent and minimize the other teams the best you can. And they could have moved the pocket. They could have rolled Drake May out. He's a specially gifted quarterback when he's on the move and he's running. So having him try and be a pocket passer in a collapsing pocket on every play is playing with fire, and they got burned. So
I will say that they did a really good job on Smith and Jigba. I thought that was pretty impressive. The Seattle Seahawks did a great job on the Patriots wide receivers. They just weren't open. I mean, there was just nobody open. And you're talking about a situation. If you're a explosive offense, you want the ball as much as possible. If you're the less explosive offense, which the Patriots are, and McDaniels knows that, what I try to do is I try to run the ball, take time off the clock, and give the ball
Oh
to the
yeah.
Seahawks a lot less. I mean, they're
Yeah.
averaging 34 points a game in these playoffs. So I want to give them fewer possessions. So what do I do to do that? I run the
Yeah.
ball. I don't care
Yep.
what it takes to do it.
It's not only that, but you have to wear down the defense a little so they're not fresh. And even though they're rotating guys in, eventually you start having guys get a little banged up. It hurts to be a brick wall that a running back runs into. And eventually you soften them up a little. And then, by the way, if you can roll out your quarterback, fake handoff, roll him out, move the pocket, um, get him on the edge and get him to where he can run for a first down, run out of bounds, not take a shot. That was Drake May's strength all year. Was yes, he threw the ball effectively throughout the regular season, but he also ran well, and they didn't do that more than a couple times in the. They did it late in the second half when it didn't matter.
So Darnold didn't even have a great game if you look at his stats. I mean,
No,
they
no.
really kind of held him down. And the person who made the difference for the Seahawks was Kenneth Walker Jr., who had a fantastic game and got the MVP. And he essentially was most of the offense, about 2/3 of it. And he just got them down close, and then they would do chip field goals with one of the best kickers in football, Myers, who, by the way, set the all-time Super Bowl record for field goals, which is
I
pretty
think
impressive.
you had to give this win to the kicker and to the defense. And I'd say defensive line, but and the linebackers played out of their minds. The safeties, corners absolutely shut down the Patriots receivers. I I don't see how you don't give the MVP to the whole defense. I just that was the significant grouping that was the difference in this game.
It's interesting. I looked back today, preparing for today, and looked at our preview show for the playoffs. And there were a couple of things we said. Number one, you picked the Rams, I picked the Seahawks. I think those are the two best teams in football.
Yep.
And I think going into next year, they're still the two best teams in football going into next
Yep.
year. Um, we also said, both of us, that you can't win championships, i.e., the Super Bowl, unless you can run the ball and you can play stout defense. You have to have
Yep.
those two elements. And the Patriots didn't have that. I don't think the Broncos really had it very much. I think a lot of the other teams were really flawed. And the
I think
Seahawks
actually
had the
the
best
I think I
combination.
think the Rams were a little bit deficient in
Yep,
those two areas too.
a little.
And I think that Matthew Stafford was that good that he could overcome some of that weakness. They weren't
Yeah.
great against the run, and they weren't great at running the
Last year, their
ball.
defense kind of failed them a little bit down the stretch. It is
They
true.
did. They
Mhm.
got pressure. Dropping back to throw against the Rams wasn't very fun, but dropping back, handing the ball off, teams had some luck running the ball. So
But don't you feel like
honestly,
that the best team won the Lombardi? I mean, I do. I said they were the
yeah,
best team starting about
yeah,
mid-season. I said they're the best team. So I
yeah,
feel like,
and let's face it, they're getting a lot of credit today because that defense was that good. The offense was okay. It wasn't great, you
yeah.
know. Everyone's saying that Kenneth Walker was the MVP. I think he wasn't. I think their defense was, and maybe their kicker and
You
their
and I were
coach.
sitting
Like,
there. You and I were sitting there in the fourth quarter, and we were having our last beer of the night, and we both said if we could give it to the defense, we give it to the defense. The
that's right.
whole defense should
The
have
whole
been the
defense.
MVP.
Yeah.
Now, the only guy on the offense you could even consider was Kenneth Walker. He did have a big day, but
I'd give it to the kicker.
kicker or the defense? Yeah, I agree.
The kicker had him to at 12-0 before there was a touchdown. And then there was there was a Seattle touchdown, making it 19-0
After another one of their strip sacks.
after, so yeah, and then New England scored, and then the Seattle got the interception, the strip sack interception thing for a touchdown. So I mean, it's
I've only seen a couple times where a defensive line played this well in the Super Bowl and where the quarterback was under assault on almost every play. I'm
yeah,
thinking of the Giants against the Patriots when they beat them
yep,
twice, where you had Michael Strahan and the crew were
yep,
fantastic, and
they
you
were.
had Tom Brady had a subpar game in both of those games compared to what he used to in the Super Bowl. And then I'm thinking of that, and then I'm thinking of the Broncos against my Panthers in 2015. That was an incredible performance
It was
where
Von Miller.
the
Yep.
vaunted Panthers offense that had averaged 38 points a game was just stripped down to nothing in that game.
Yeah, Von Miller went off.
Yeah. And then I'm looking at this game and I'm looking at they just dismantled the Patriots offensive line. That's what happened.
Yeah. But there was one year Ray
Impressive.
Lewis's Ravens defense was like that,
Mm-hmm. Ray Lewis,
where
yeah.
they just couldn't be stopped.
The
I mean, like,
Ravens, yeah. The
it was
Steelers
crazy.
have been that way before with
Trent
Iron Sheik.
Dilfer won a Super Bowl. That's how good his defense was.
The Buccaneers, the year that John Gruden went with the Buccaneers, they had an incredible
Yep.
defense.
Yep.
Warren
Warren Sapp.
Sapp, yeah. So
Yeah, so there have been plenty of defenses like that, but yeah, the best team won. It wasn't particularly close. I think the Rams Seahawks was the real Super Bowl. Congrats to the Patriots. I think they have a lot to be proud of, a lot to be
they had a
happy
great year.
about.
They had a great
They're improving. They have a great coach now. I like their offense coordinator. I think he had a terrible game, but I think he's good. And they have Drake May, who a lot of talk about how he's not a franchise quarterback now, and all this overreaction.
Not buying any
There
of
was
that.
so much overreaction in making him run in the running for MVP. I was like, that's crazy.
I think
And then
saying that he has all
going
the
too
blame.
far the other way, saying that he's not a
Yeah.
franchise quarterback. Like,
Saying he
no.
has all the blame is not true. That's ridiculous.
Hmm.
Saying that he has zero blame is also ridiculous. There were a couple times he was very unsure and very uncertain. I think because
Oh, and he
he was feeling battered after a while.
he missed some open
Missed some
plays too.
open throws. I mean, Darnold missed about four different bombs that were
Yeah.
bombs away, and guys were wide open. He just overthrew them every single time.
Yeah.
And this could have been an even bigger blowout if he hit a couple of those.
No
Uh,
question.
so I don't think either quarterback really played very well.
But if
May
you're going to summarize it, it came down to the sacks and turnovers difference. It was 6 sacks to 1 sack, so that was a big defensive advantage for Seattle. And 3 turnovers to 0. Seattle
Mhm.
took
Huge.
away the ball 3 times, and that was the biggest part of the difference. And then that was the dark side defense and the defensive touchdown. So those were kind of the biggest plays of the game, biggest factors. And otherwise, you can kind of say that Seattle took their foot off the gas a little bit, even though they had kind of an insurmountable lead. And that was the difference in the game. And Kenneth Walker salted it away with some really good running, a lot of yardage. Didn't have a touchdown, but he had a lot of yardage,
And
and he
actually, the Drake May
workhorse.
interception, he was being pressured, but it wasn't that bad. And that one he threw over the middle to nobody
Mhm.
was crazy. I
Terrible.
don't know where he was going with that ball, but
That was really the one play of the day that I'll fault him for.
yeah, I
A
mean, he wasn't
hundred
really even
percent,
being pressured
a
that
hundred
much.
percent his fault. Um, Everything else, a lot of it goes elsewhere, really. I'm not going to sit here and say he played great. He didn't. But if we're talking about blame and what you have to fix, the biggest thing you'd have to fix was that offensive line performance and that really poor throw over the middle by him. And you fix those things, and this team is a deep playoff team,
Yeah.
and you add some pieces, then maybe you're talking Super Bowl in the
They
future.
got
But
they got to fix their protection. They need a couple offensive linemen, and they've got to be
yeah,
able to run block as well because they have some decent backs on this roster. They just
yeah,
gave
but
up
they
on
don't
the
use
run
them.
game. Yeah, so
So,
they need guys who can run and pass block. So
but
no question.
overall, I think it was a pretty good game. In that you got to see a high level defense manhandle an okay offense, and you got to see a team clicking on all three phases,
Mhm.
especially defense and special teams were outstanding. I felt like Seattle, when they would come on to punt, I felt like that guy was a weapon. When he was
Mhm.
punting, he punted 7 times.
Mhm.
So Seattle definitely had their struggles on offense. But they were smart. They weren't giving the ball away, 0 turnovers. They'd get stopped and they'd punt it, and that guy would drill it and put it deep down in their end zone or
And
in
their
their
cover
zone.
team was good. I mean, this is what I
Cover
was telling
team.
you
Yeah.
offline. We were talking about this that
Yeah.
49ers and Rams are looking at this Seattle team that is looks to me like it's complete, and the
Yeah,
whole
it's buttoned
team
up.
is coming back next year. So,
Yeah.
and they're looking at this team and they're thinking to themselves, okay, we never take special teams seriously, and we need to because Seattle has all three phases that are really good right now,
No
and
question. You
and
know
so
what's
people
scary?
try to copy them. You know,
You know what's scary? Seattle has $63.4 million under the cap next year.
we're going to talk about that later. I'm going to show the cap numbers. I could
They're
not believe that.
fourth.
And guess what? 49ers and Rams have a lot of money under the cap too. So that
Yeah,
division's already the best in football by far.
I know. And it's gonna
And,
get better.
and all three teams are going to be out shopping. So,
Tom, you and I said many, many weeks ago that the NFC is dramatically better than the AFC. I
yep.
think that's gonna be true for several more years.
And we saw that come to pass in the game. There's no question.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're not even allowed to pay Drake May next year.
And Rob, Seattle is the second youngest team in the NFL, and they just won the Super Bowl.
I
None of
know.
them are on max contracts. You have
I
all
know.
these guys in their first
How,
and second years.
how, how do you get how do you spend that money? I mean,
I was telling you, think about this Russell Wilson trade they did 2 years ago to the Broncos. They got
yeah,
a first, a second, and a fourth,
I
and
know.
they went and used those three draft picks that were extra bonus draft picks, not just for depth. They got three starters. They got themselves um, Witherspoon, and they got themselves both starting corners
Yeah,
who hit like crazy.
I know.
They got three starters with the Broncos picks for a washed-up Russell Wilson,
I know.
and that started
And
this
they
whole
got
process.
and they got rid of
And
uh
Witherspoon's a beast.
the wide receiver, um
Yeah, DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf for the Steelers.
Hmm.
And they knew they had in Jigba. They said we're covered, we're good. They're very smart. Their GM has got to be the top one or two, along
You
with
know who
Howie
I think
Roseman.
has kind of been building like the Seahawks? And you talk about them. The Texans, they feel like they're kind of
Yep,
building like the Seahawks.
yep, yep.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think those
Jaguars,
two
yeah.
teams are both building like the Seahawks.
It
They're
was a really good
pretending to
season
be.
in that a lot of these teams came up from nowhere.
Hmm.
Jaguars were good this year.
Hmm.
Panthers were good again. Nobody predicted
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
Um, you know, there was a changing of the guard, I think, a little bit this
hmm,
year. Seattle
that's
was
true.
nothing. They've been 4-13 or whatever.
When they look at the
12.
preseason odds, this was the most unlikely Super Bowl in NFL history. The Seahawks and the Patriots were such low
I know.
chances of making it that it was the most likely ever. So,
I don't know.
you ready to go see the stats?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it. All right, let's do a call out to our sponsor for tonight, and that's Academy Sports. We love Academy Sports. We go there all the time. Robbie, what do you think of Academy?
Love Academy Sports. They're incredible for all our sports needs. The boys are constantly needing upgrades. I'm going to need to go there next week probably to get baseball cleats. But we just got bikes from there and for their birthday. So I'll tell you what, they have everything we need. They have good prices, really good selection. Everything in there is really cool, and I love getting ideas for. I got an idea for your You just had your birthday celebration at the Super Bowl party, and we got you a cooler. So it's a fantastic place. It's for all your sporting needs and all kinds of different parts of your life can get really good gear there. So I recommend it very highly.
I love Academy. I go there. I like to just kind of poke around, and there's all kinds of cool departments. I've got my last two pairs of shoes there. Got my running shoes and my pickleball shoes, and it's just a great place to go. Go check out your Academy sports locally, or check out academy.com. You can order online, and do it today. Have a great one.
Dude.
All right, so this is our Super Bowl 60 reaction, episode 111, Robbie. You got some really cool pictures here up to the top left, the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. That's the thing that's going to be unfurled at their stadium next year. You have the great picture there of Mike McDonald, who clearly is one of the best hires in the last couple of years. I'd say he and Ben Johnson, Robbie, and Mike
Yeah.
Vrabel. I mean, some of these
Uh-huh.
young guys have just been fantastic hires.
Yeah.
He's sitting there with Sam Darnold. I mean, has there ever been a better comeback story than this guy? He's been given up on by four teams. He was a
Yeah.
backup in
What
San
about
Francisco.
Liam Cohen? Like, there's
Yeah.
a lot of
Liam
good
Cohen.
young coaches that have come to these bad organizations
But
and
are,
really
are you
turned things around.
they're incredible coaches, but are you happy for Darnold and how he's been able to turn this around? I mean, I'm happy for
Oh
him.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm so happy for
What a
him.
story.
He's done it all the right way. He's put his head down, worked hard. He got ridiculed. He was being made into memes. He was a joke. He was a joke. He was hearing footsteps, so he said that one time. And
Mhm.
he was on the Jets, and the Jets weren't a serious organization that year.
I mean, a lot of
And
people think Dante Moore didn't come out this year because he was projected to go to the Jets. Literally, like he didn't come
yeah,
out for that reason.
which
So
is
yeah,
dumb because,
I
but I
know.
mean, staying in school now and getting paid is not a bad idea. Like,
He's got 2 years left of eligibility. He should have come back.
yeah,
He wasn't quite
yeah.
ready.
No, I agree. He's not ready.
See another great picture there to the right of all the teams celebrating. I just love those moments, man, when they are on the stage and they're all holding the trophy and they're splashing Gatorade around. I just love that. It's just pure joy. And then below that are the two elements you and I talked about at the beginning of the playoffs. Defense wins championships. And you got this team they call the Dark Side, which is the name of their defense. And then the
Yeah.
Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker. I mean, I don't remember a running back other than Terrell Davis who's had the kind of run this guy had through the playoffs this year. He was just fantastic. And he's the first MVP running back since Terrell Davis, which is pretty cool.
Yep. He had a very nice run.
So I hate to say I told you so, but Rob and I and the sports guys I told you guys that this is the element you need to win for these
Yep.
two different aspects.
Yeah.
So pretty
Yep.
cool to see.
They didn't need Darnold to have a huge game
No,
to win. He was very smart with the ball. He did not turn the ball over. He did not put the ball in harm's way. He did not take risks. And he said, we're going to run the ball. We're going to throw the ball some and move the ball down the field. If we get stopped, we're getting field goals. We're not going to do all this going for it on 4th and 5 and 4th and 6 stuff.
right.
And we're going to get a little bit of a lead that feels insurmountable because our defense is going to hold them and make it a desperate situation. And that's what happened.
And you look at this defensive line, the starters, first of all, DeMarcus Lawrence, who they got in a trade from Dallas this year. You got Human Yora, who's just a beast. You got Witherspoon, who they chose as the number 7 pick 2 years ago in the draft with the Denver pick. And then that's just the starting lineup. And then you had in this game the number 8 and number 9 guy in the rotation. These are second and third string guys get sacks in this game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
scary defense when you're that
Well, that's
deep.
the thing. It's not so much that they blitz a lot. They blitzed 8 times. It's not that they blitzed a lot. It's that they would bring people from different spots and roll people back out. They would drop these guys into coverage and bring linebackers. They would pick apart. Their goal was to get Will Anderson in single blocking schemes, and they would absolutely manhandle him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think
So
everyone in the league is going to be watching how they put this 8 and 9 man rotation together and try to replicate that? I
I
would
don't
think
know
so.
if you can replicate it. I mean,
Yeah.
no team can spend the resources of getting all these new people. You know, with Seattle, I think about um the old adage, uh, draft defense and spend your money on offense for
Offense.
veteran
Right.
offensive players. And that's kind of what they did with offensive linemen and
Matter of fact, they've
um,
got all that cap room, Robbie. You think they might just go get a premier
Shaheed
wide
and
receiver to go be on the other side of
yeah,
Smith
or
and Jigba?
maybe another lineman, another tight end.
Yeah, go
Go
get
get
like a T. Higgins or something, or
go
you
get
can
like a
afford
really
it.
good tight end.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Any
yeah,
other
so
thoughts about Kenneth Walker's run through these playoffs?
it was fantastic. I think that I just don't think I would have called him the MVP, but I don't hate it either. I mean, I love that he really was the difference because one of the big differences because he maintained control he kept the chains moving. You know, he kept
Yeah,
the
and
defense
there was
off
a lot of
balance
pressure
and
there because he was part of a two-headed monster that was really good. And when
Charbonnet. Yeah,
Charbonnet went out, I thought that was going to really hurt them, and he just stepped up. I mean, he just said,
yeah.
"Next man up,
He
I'm
became
gonna
a
take these
workhorse.
carries." Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't think he would have had the numbers he had if Charbonnet didn't go out. I think he just said, "Just give me all the carries, I'll be fine," and he carried them to the championship. So it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So here's the stats. We got the individual stats to the left there. As you talked about a little bit, Sam Darnold just had an okay game, 19 for 38, 202 with a touchdown. Drake May had very inflated numbers. He had 250 of his yards in the fourth quarter. He essentially went into the fourth quarter with 50 yards passing, which is really
Hmm.
sad. He had 2 TDs and 2 interceptions, and obviously threw the ball way too much, 43 times. That tells me he's probably losing. Thoughts about both their performances?
Well, I think Darnold didn't have to do much, so he didn't. He was smart. I think that statistically, you know, they might sort of say he didn't have a good game, but he had a very good game. His goal was to protect the ball, to get the ball into the hands of his running back, to move the ball with his tight end, and
It's
Jigba
funny
was
you say
getting
that. Do you know what
and
John
Jigba
Gruden
was
said?
getting covered really, really carefully.
He
So
was. He was.
they were cautious. They weren't going to throw into that. They knew that Njigba was taken away. So he just spread the ball around, was patient. They punted the ball 7 times, which means they didn't force anything. They let their defense hold, and they got down into field goal range a bunch of times, and their field goal kicker scored, what was it, 17 points,
Mm-hmm.
which
It's true.
obviously is enough to win the game. So,
So John Gruden said about Sam Darnold's performance, he absolutely loved it. He said 3 years ago he would have thrown 3 picks, and he would have taken bad sacks or not taken the sacks and tried to force something and thrown it away or throw it into triple coverage or something. And he said he's just seen such incredible growth from year 4 to year 7 of him just taking the sack when he needs to, throwing it out of bounds, not trying to force it. We'll go ahead and punt. We got a great defense. Let's not
you
turn
know
it
something?
over. And he's
You
right.
know
He
something?
didn't turn it over.
You know something? Give it the eyeball test. New England's D played really, really well. They only had 1 sack and no turnovers.
Hmm.
They forced no turnovers. So at the end of the day, Darnold did an amazing job of not taking sacks, not taking risks with the ball, spreading the ball around, throwing the ball away when necessary,
Hmm.
punting, you know, really conservative game plan, which you can do when your defense is playing that well.
I will
And
say
you
that
just don't
if
make a
he had,
mistake.
I will say if he had hit out of those 4 bombs, if he had hit 1 or 2 of them, this would have been a 30-point blowout.
Yeah.
He didn't hit those, and so he had a good game, not a great game. That's the way I would describe it.
I think it was a very good game because his goal was to not give the ball away.
Hmm.
and not make any big mistakes. He didn't make any big mistakes.
That's true.
So,
Looking at their rushing performance, Kenneth Walker with 135, Drake May with 37. Like we said, he was having a hard time kind of squirting out of there like he usually does. He usually
yeah.
relies on his legs to get a lot of first downs. Thoughts about this rushing situation where your quarterback's your leading rusher with 37 yards?
You know how I feel about quarterbacks being a leading rusher. It's just, it tells you that things are not going well.
Yeah.
I hate it. I don't want my quarterback to be my leading rusher. I don't mind my quarterback getting, 20, 30 yards, but I better have a 100-yard rusher. And that the fact that he didn't, it's a
Hmm.
disaster. But Kenneth Walker was awesome, 135 yards of very, very consequential yardage. He was controlling the clock, controlling first downs, moving the chains, making New England's defense sort of their will got a little bit broken by the second
Hmm.
half. They weren't
And it felt
tackling with
like
the same kind of
it felt
energy
like
in the second
Seattle
half.
knew. It felt like Seattle knew New England couldn't do anything against their defense, so they're like, "Okay, we'll just get field goals. That's fine.
Or we'll
We'll
just
win, we'll win
punt.
field goals.
We'll,
Yeah,
we'll punt.
or
They
punt."
punted 7 times and hit 5 field goals. That's a
Hmm.
lot of times that New England was able to stop the Seahawks, but
Hmm.
they still took advantage of each time of those. I mean, I'm telling you, when Seattle punted, it was like they were using their weapon,
True.
and you know, and uh, and then of course their field goal kicker did amazing. So
Hmm.
yeah, they did well.
Looking at the receiving yards, really happy for Cooper Kupp, his second Super Bowl ring.
Mhm.
I saw a couple people online saying that that should put him in the Hall of Fame now. We'll see. I'm not sure about that, but he certainly
Uh,
was a Super Bowl MVP for the Rams, and then he wins another ring here. He catches 6 balls, was by far their most effective receiver all night because they
yeah.
were blanketing and bracketing Njigba all over the field. They basically said he's not going to beat us.
Hmm.
And then your guy Hollins had a huge day with 4 catches and a touchdown. So
He was great.
I know you love that guy too.
Hmm.
Any thoughts about the receiving performances? Really wasn't a big night for anybody, but these two guys had a decent night.
Well, I think both quarterbacks were under a lot of pressure, and I think Darnold looked more prepared for that pressure. I think he threw the ball away, said, "I'd rather punt than drop back, hold the ball too long, get strip sacked, get sacked a bunch of times,
Mm-hmm.
um, get have turnovers, fumbles,
Mm-hmm.
throw the ball into triple coverages." You know, Sam Darnold was smart. He did a really good job. I think Drake May was given an impossible task, and he looked really like a deer in the headlights out there.
He did. He really did. But hats off to the Patriots. They had a good game plan against Njigba, and they decided, what, we're going to take him away, and we'll see what the Seattle Seahawks can do against us. And it was pretty smart. I mean, he's the best receiver in
Yeah.
football. So. On the sack side, you mentioned the Patriots only getting 1 sack. It was Milton Williams. I did think, in looking at his game, he had a pretty good game. He had a lot of pressures in this game. He's
Uh-huh.
a fantastic player. I mean, he's clearly their best defensive lineman, Milton Williams.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, the Seahawks just absolutely feasted all day long. Hall had 2 sacks himself. And then, as I said, a couple of the backup guys had sacks, and Witherspoon had just a
Mm.
monster game. And
Yeah,
all
there were
the
sacks and tackles all up and down the
yeah,
defensive uh,
it was
list.
incredibly impressive performance by the Seahawks for sure.
Hmm.
Looking at the team stats, like you said, if you looked at this and you hadn't seen the game, you would think this was a really close contest. I think that the 3 turnovers you pointed out is true, that was the big difference in this game. And then the other one was the sacks and the pressures. I think that
Yeah.
those two elements. And you look at the Patriots defense really kept them in the game with the red zone efficiency or non-efficiency by Seahawks, and the fact that the Seahawks had the ball quite a bit more than the Patriots. So the fact that they held them in this game for as long as they did was pretty impressive.
I heard on sports radio today they were actually calling Will Campbell's um, performance, the worst offensive line performance in a game in the NFL this year.
He was abysmal. Let's just be honest about it. It was abysmal. He
Yeah.
got absolutely torched. And everyone
Yeah.
was saying later that he's really a guard. And I'm like, well, then why did you put him at left tackle? That's the most important position on the offense.
I don't know if he's a guard. I mean, maybe, but he got whipped so badly. I don't know. And
He
and
was.
I actually saw why. He wasn't aggressively attacking. I saw a breakdown of how he was backpedaling his way to try to meet the charging defensive lineman. And he was getting caught backpedaling, and so he was off balance, and the guy would pile drive him.
Mhm.
Instead of zooming to a spot of engagement and then attacking and pushing outward and stoning somebody, he was
Mhm.
kind of off balance when the defensive lineman would put his hands on him and start driving him
Mhm.
into the quarterback. So there was a lot of bad performances on the New England's offensive line. I will say a
That's
lot of
true.
it was good scheme by the Seahawks defense, though. Honestly,
It's true. It's true. You look, drill in a little bit more to the QB stat line, and you see a 50% completion percentage for Sam Darnold. That shows you how well the Patriots were playing, I think, in this game and trying to keep their team in the game, because a lot of those balls he was having to sail out of bounds because he was under pressure. He got a 74.7 QB rating, and Drake May ended up with a higher completion percentage and a higher QBR rating, which was really surprising to me, and largely
aren't that
because of that
surprising?
big fourth quarter.
Those things don't measure all the different elements of the game. They just look at some basic stats. So, I mean, if you think about it, Seattle was up 3-0, then they were up 6-0, then they were up 9-0, and then to start the half, then they went up 12-0. I mean, they weren't totally out of the game at that point.
I
Like
know
in
because
the
the
third
Patriots
quarter,
defense
it's only
played that
12
well.
nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not dramatic. It's
Right.
if the Pats had found a way to do some of the game planning that we were talking about, moving the pocket, running the ball more, they could have gotten back in the game. In
Well, you can
theory.
see what
In
happened
theory.
in the fourth quarters. They just started slinging it, and in some cases they had success, and that's how they got 13
Yeah,
points and
but it's
250
risky
yards of
and
offense.
you have nothing left to lose and all that. But
They got 250 yards of passing offense, and they got 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter because of it. But guess what? They also got a couple really devastating turnovers that gave
yeah,
Seattle some touchdowns. So,
one was a pick six.
right. So, so Drake May has 2 interceptions and a really devastating fumble strip sack,
Hmm.
and that's the ball game. That's all it
Yeah.
takes to have this kind of lopsided scar. So looking at the DraftKings game odds coming into the game, they opened at 3.5. It ended up 4.5. About 80% of the money was on the Seahawks in this game, according to Vegas. So Vegas actually took their biggest losses in 25 years in the Super Bowl, which is kind of surprising. You had Seattle by 3. I had Seattle by 7. So any thoughts overall about the game, how it played out, the margin of victory, anything else?
I think if they had had the right game plan, it would have been a close game that Seattle won most of the time.
Right. I agree.
But with a
Seattle's.
bad game plan, they would lose that 100% of the time, the way they played that.
I agree. 100%. I thought the Levi Stadium crew did a really good job. They were talking about what a miraculous deal that was to be able to rush the halftime, all the props and stage and everything out there to have the halftime show and then to rush it back off and let game to resume and have no damage to the field. That is pretty remarkable. If you think
Yeah,
about
it
that, what
is.
that crew had to pull off in a 20-minute period, it's really remarkable. So
Yeah.
I just, hats off to them. The weather was good.
It kind of reminds me of the Roman Colosseum
Yeah,
doing
it's a little
like
bit like that.
pit ship battles and then draining and irrigating and then having land battles again, like with
It
the
was a little bit
gladiators.
like that. It was. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
was.
Amazing.
So let's look at the needs in 2026. These are the free agents coming out of that game. Patriots have 4 guys that are not under contract that they want back. Austin Hooper, Kason, Tonga, and Hawkins. Those are the guys that they would want back. Doesn't mean they'll get them all back, but they've got essentially 4 guys that won't be under contract. The Seahawks have a little bit more. They got Rashid Shaheed, who came over on a 1-year deal. Kenneth Walker, who's definitely going to want a raise. You got Woolen, who's a cornerback. Boy Muff, who's a linebacker. Kobe Bryant, and Drake Thomas. So it'll
Greg
be
Thomas
interesting.
from NC State.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if they re-sign all 6 of these guys, if they let 1 or 2 of them go and try to fill them with draft picks and that kind of thing, the younger guys.
Mhm.
Thoughts
Draft
about,
defense and spend money on free agents on offense.
you know what? If I'm them, I'm bringing Shaheed back. He's a huge contributor to your special teams. I'm
Yeah.
bringing Walker back, and I'm hoping Charbonnet is healthy again. So I've got my 1-2 punch again. And then a couple of these other guys I bring back, and if I lose 1 or 2 of them, that's okay. We got all kinds of picks. We can fill some of those needs.
I have faith in the general manager of being able to assess everyone's abilities. I will say that everybody has a value, and the dumbest thing you can do is overpay for people. Um, the best situation is where you underpay people. The problem with underpaying is it's not long before they want out. So
Mhm.
um, it's really better to just get to where you think people's value is, and it's good for them to get to that same point as well. So as quickly as you reach that equilibrium, the better. And so I wouldn't go overpaying a bunch of people here because we just won the Super Bowl.
Right.
I would really assess their contribution
I would
and
too.
base
I would
their
too. Although they have,
compensation based on the value that they bring.
I think you have to re-sign Kenneth Walker. I mean, he's a big part of that offense now. Some of these other guys, like I said, I'd try to bring Shaheed back. He can also be a receiver. For the Patriots, Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry actually had pretty good regular seasons. Both of them completely disappeared in the playoffs. They're absolute
Yep.
non-factors.
Yeah. Terrible.
And so you talked about, do they need to upgrade at tight end? Do you just let him
Yeah.
go because he was just okay? You know, Kason I would bring back. He's a really great middle linebacker for them. I'm bringing him back.
Yeah.
He's an impact guy. Tonga and Hawkins, I'm not as aware about how good a contributor they are, but if I had to, out of those 4, pick somebody, I'd bring Kason back. He's the play caller on the defense.
I'm sure they would want to get all 4 of those guys back.
Yeah,
I'm
if you
not
could.
sure. I'm not sure they have the tight end that's their weapon.
Right.
I think Hooper's a nice piece, but not. He might be your backup tight end.
Why do you
Um,
think their tight ends disappeared in the playoffs? Why couldn't they? I mean, you have to think tight ends are easy to get the ball to. They should be.
I think everybody disappeared except Matt Collins. So,
Yeah, that's right.
um,
What happened?
you know,
Yeah.
well, their offense couldn't
Stephon Diggs
block.
had one catch for 5 yards.
Their offense couldn't block the defense, and so, but dropping Drake May back for five
Right.
step drops allowed him to be exposed, and
True.
they whipped them.
That's true.
That's what happened.
So, in terms of other needs in the draft this year for the Patriots, offensive line is obvious. They've got multiple holes on that offensive line. It was a pretty abysmal performance. Rob mentioned the tight end position. They really need to get a big time catcher like a Brock Bowers type guy if they want to be effective. Running back, if they don't have the guy on the roster who can be the battering ram like a Derrick Henry, they need to go get it because Mike Vrabel believes in running the ball, and they clearly aren't doing it right now. That wide receiver group I say was kind of underwhelming this year, and Drake May needs some weapons. He really does. And then linebacker. Out of that pretty good defense, as we saw, very solid. They need some help on both outside linebacker positions. Any thoughts on those needs? Any other ones you'd add, Robbie?
I'd probably say that's about right. That's where I'd start. Well, I think mostly offensive line. I mean,
Yeah,
so
and that's why
yeah,
it's number one.
yeah. I think offensive line, honestly, offensive line and wide receiver
Hmm.
are the biggest need, and
Hmm.
followed by
I agree.
running back. I don't know if they believe in the running backs they have. They didn't act like they did, so they
They
might
love
need.
Travion Henderson, but they've turned him into a third down back. So I think he's
Yeah, I
very
don't know if they
valuable.
love Trevion Henderson based on the fact that they won't give him the ball. So they might
Hmm.
like him as a person, but
Hmm.
we all thought he should get the ball a lot, but their coaches don't. So
Hmm.
I don't know what that tells you.
It's interesting. Seahawks, really a pretty complete team. They don't need very much. Apparently, they do need another right guard. That was their weakness on their line this year was the right guard position. And then they're pretty certain they're going to try to bring in a big time wide receiver, probably in free agency, because they have all this cap room. They'll probably go try to make a splash with somebody on the other side of Smith and Jigba. And then middle linebacker is another big need, according to NFL.com for the Seahawks. Anything else you can think of for them as they keep trying to get better?
I think they need to think about overall depth. Generally they don't really need any starters. Um,
Hmm.
One thing I'm not sure of, who's the backup quarterback?
It's Sam Howell. He's
Okay,
decent. You
that's
know,
right.
he's decent.
Yeah, they
He
might need
played
to
some
look
this
at
year.
that.
Hmm.
They might need to look at that and see if they can upgrade there, but
Hmm.
um I generally think they don't need much in the way of starters.
He came
You
in
know,
a couple games this year when Darnold got banged up or had like a
yeah,
concussive issue. He played pretty well. He's a decent
yeah.
backup. Hmm.
I'd say their needs are minimal, which is nice.
I agree. I agree. So teams with the most cap space, you mentioned this. Number one is the Tennessee Titans with 104 million. Apparently, one of the reasons that Robert Saleh took the job was he looked at that number and he thought to himself, "Okay, I've got my franchise quarterback. I've got a couple pieces in place, not much, but a couple, and then I have 104 million to spend, and I can make some splash free agency signings, and I can have a whole nother new draft under my belt." So pretty amazing they have that much cap space available. Raiders
Yeah.
have 91 million, Chargers 83 million, and Chargers have a lot of holes too. 83 for the Jets. Commanders with a lot of room, 76 million.
Hmm.
Seahawks at 73 as the Super Bowl champs. Bengals 54, Rams 48, Steelers 45, and San Francisco 49ers 43. So you got three teams out of the West that all have pretty good cap space. So what's your take on
Yeah.
this?
I think generally speaking, these are relatively not very good teams at the top. Um, and part of the reason why is they're cheap organizations.
Hmm.
Also, they make a lot of mistakes, so they're always drafting the same positions over and over and over. So they always have people on minimum
Well,
contracts.
yeah, and some of the bad teams also have been trying to position themselves to have this kind of cap space for a couple of years now by freeing up bad
Yeah,
contracts. And
yeah,
so
true.
some of it's a deliberate strategy. Yeah.
But I think if your house is in order, you're winning, and you have cap space, your GM deserves a big raise.
You think the Commanders might try to go make a couple splash plays, try to
I
improve,
don't know.
maybe
I
on
don't know.
defense?
I'd rather them have picks and get young guys that are on rookie contracts for 5 years.
Hmm.
But they need somebody who's drafting like the Seahawks do, which is second, third, fourth round guys that are starters and end up being big contributors.
That's right. Guys, watch these 10 teams. These guys are going to be major players in free agency in the offseason for sure. So let's talk about the NFL honors. We have Matt Stafford was the MVP. Offensive player of the year was Smith and Jigba. Defensive player of the year, and I think he well deserved it, Myles Garrett, who set the all time sack record. Ted McMillan from the Panthers, offensive rookie of the year. Defensive rookie of the year, Carson Schwezinger from the Bears. Coach of the year was Mike Vrabel. Comeback player of the year, Christian McCaffrey. Walter Payton Man of the Year, Bobby Wagner, and Protector of the Year, Joe Tooney. So what's your take on these 9 award winners? You think they're all deserving?
Very deserving. Very deserving. I think every single one of those guys is excellent at what they do, made huge impacts for their team, are a big reason why their team either had success or were competitive at times. So um, definitely think that these guys did a great job this year and previous years, and they all deserve it.
Would you have picked Rabel? Would you have picked Lee and Cohen? Would you have picked? I mean, it was a tight race there. There were a lot of good coaches this year. How about Mike McDonald?
I have no problem with Rabel getting that. He took the team probably the furthest from when they were terrible to
5-12 to the Super Bowl. Yeah,
yeah,
incredible.
which is about as bad as McDonald's turnaround. So I don't know.
Hmm.
Either one of them is a good pick.
McDonald, Ben Johnson had a great year in Chicago. I think I will say, out of those kind of young guys who came in, there was about 5 or 6 of them that really probably should have gotten some votes for this. But I'm fine with Vrabel getting it. So
Yeah.
looking to the right of that, the closest MVP race in history was Stafford with 24 first place votes and May with 23. So May almost pulled it off. I thought the last 5 or 6 weeks or so, I really was pretty sure Stafford was going to win it. What's your take on this and how close it was?
Shouldn't have been close. I've been saying for a while that I thought that May didn't deserve to be in that close to the MVP level. It has nothing to do with the Super Bowl performance. It just he wasn't great in the playoffs. He's young. He's still learning.
You
He's gonna
know,
be great. His career's gonna be awesome, but I just think it's too early to be doing all this, MVP
they
stuff.
interviewed a lot of the voters who actually came out and publicly said why they voted for May, and they said that same reason that Vrabel got it. They felt like he took a trash team the furthest, and that Stafford has an unbelievable roster, especially on the offensive side. So that's one
Yeah.
reason they were voting for May. So I kind of get that. I still think Stafford should have won it, but
I
um,
don't think it should have been that close.
yeah, yeah, I think you're probably right.
Just my opinion.
Interesting though. Interesting that it was that close.
Hmm.
So Hall of Fame, we had 5 guys get in. The big controversy, of course, was around Coach Bill Belichick, who didn't get in, but I think these guys are all very deserving. Drew Brees, of course, had the Hall of Fame career, fantastic player, Super Bowl winner. Larry Fitzgerald has always been one of my favorite receivers. We got to see him play against our college team here in Charlotte. What a cool event that was. Went to the bowl game and
Yeah.
saw Virginia play against them. I've always thought he was a class act. Larry Fitzgerald, great player. Adam Vinatieri, one of the few kickers that have ever gotten in. And I think Robbie Vinatieri is well deserved. I mean, he just was in
Yeah.
so many playoff games, so many Super Bowls for 2 different teams. He was just money, every time you needed a big kick. Roger Craig, the really versatile back for the 49ers, won a couple Super Bowls, has a couple rings for them. And then, of course, my boy Luke Kuechly, the second youngest ever inducted to the Hall of Fame from the Panthers, and really a great player. Only played 8 seasons, so I think it's really remarkable that they gave him
Yeah.
this as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I thought it was a little surprising, but I liked it.
I loved it, and really cool picture there to the right of Julius Peppers, who came and gave him the award at Panthers offices, and then they all passed out champagne with all the other Panther players, and that was super cool to see Julius Peppers, who's also a Hall of Famer, and of course they played together. To see him give it to his friend Luke Kuechly. So, thoughts about the class of 2026?
It's a great class. I think that the the deserving nature of these players helps offset some of the speculation about the animosity toward Belichick. Clearly had a slight impact on his not getting in first ballot, but I don't think it really matters what ballot you got in. I just think that he'll get in soon and that'll be fine. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
I think
these
you're right.
players right here, that's a good crop of of players that they really had big impact. All of them um, significantly made their teams better, which is hard to make
All
a football team better.
and all of them some of the best at their position. That's what I really want to see.
Yeah,
If a guy goes in the Pro Bowl, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a middle linebacker run at the speed and have the instincts that Luke Kuechly had, even if he only played 8 seasons. I mean, the
yeah,
guy was unbelievable, sideline to sideline, that kind of thing.
yeah.
And you think about Vinatieri, he's just the absolute marksman from back there. It didn't matter what distance it was. And then Drew Brees, of course, just super, super accurate his whole career. So Larry Fitzgerald always been one of my favorite receivers. And then Roger Craig, of course, is a champion multiple times over. So congratulations to the class of 26.
Yeah, it's
I think it's
real good stuff.
a really good one. I'm looking forward to Kuechly's speech, I'll tell you that.
Mhm.
We'll see how that goes. So here's our subscriber challenge of the night. Which team has a better chance to get back to the Super Bowl 61? And you see, before we answer that question, that great picture of what you were talking about, Robbie, the dark side. And this just shows you the kind of pressure May was under on almost every play. And that's, of course, Witherspoon. I thought maybe he could have won the MVP for the game.
Yeah,
Witherspoon.
maybe
He was just an absolute game wrecker the whole game.
it
But it
was.
wasn't just him. It was all of them were just brutal to
Yeah.
Green Bay. I felt bad for him. You can see the look on his face. So, and then just to the right of that is a cool ornament egg you can order if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan. And it's only $2,500. Yay.
2,500.
That's all it is.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's if you're a 12th man and you want to spend 2,500, there you go, and get yourself your decorative champion egg. So Robbie, thoughts about which team you would bet on to get back to the game next year?
I would have to say Seattle.
Reason?
They're young, healthy, deep, talented. They play with an edge. They minimize bad contracts. They're
And the
young
dark side is not
coach.
going anywhere. They're going to have the
Dark
dark side next
side
year
is going to stay fully loaded. Their coach is doing an awesome job. Offense is steady and decent.
Can
Special
run
teams is
and
awesome.
run the ball. They got Smith and Jigba.
They
Yeah.
run the ball. You
Mm.
know, I don't know. They should be very good again.
I agree. Yeah, I'm going to say Seattle as well. Would not be surprised that the Patriots are right back in the playoffs next year. I think they're a really good team.
Yep.
But they're
Same.
nowhere near as complete a team as Seattle, and there's no guarantees that they'll be able to fill all the holes in the draft. And they don't
They
have the
might be able to get up there, or they might not. It's unknown at this point, but I think they're one of the better teams, obviously, for playoff times. But they're not in Seattle's class yet.
Seattle has 73 million under the cap as well, and the Patriots are actually over the cap right now. So, they're just in a disadvantaged place to try to improve like the Seahawks will. Seahawks, to me, they're just going to get deeper. That's what's going to happen to the Seahawks. They've got a really good GM, good front office.
Most likely.
Yeah. So, guys, drop us a comment who you think is most likely to get back to Super Bowl 61. So speaking of Super Bowl 61, Robbie, there is the new logo. Just came out this week. It's going to be played at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, where the Rams and the Chargers play. And this is the first time ever that Super Bowls in back-to-back Super Bowls will be in the same state, California. And immediately after the game in Vegas, the lines came out for next year's Super Bowl, and they've made the Rams as the highest favorite to win Super Bowl 61. So what's your take on the new logo, SoFi Stadium, LA, and the Rams winning that Super Bowl at home?
I mean, I think it could happen. I mean, the Rams are definitely a good team, well coached, great quarterback. I like the logo, pretty good,
You like the wave
modern
splashing
looking. Yeah,
there,
the beach, or
surfing?
the waves. Yeah.
How many great
Good.
events is California going to have in a row? Not only 2 years in a row for the Super Bowl, they got the Olympics
World
coming up in
Cup.
28,
Yeah.
World Cup.
I know. Awesome.
California is really having a fun run here. Robbie, I'm going to hand it to you for the mailbag.
All right, let's do it. We got some mailbag here. We got some of our people have reached out. Branding in the transfer portal era is bigger than people think. This explained it perfectly. At Alex Robin. This was our episode on branding with Cam Wyrick.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for watching and thanks for your comment. And I agree. I think that that was one of our better discussions in a long time, and you guys all agreed with all the views that we got. And thanks for the comment.
Yeah, yeah, we really appreciate your support on it. We had a good time making this one. Next one, new guest, new level of insight, fire. This was needed. Loved hearing a new voice break down the transfer portal era like this. At Alistair Cook.
Thanks, Alistair. And we'll pass that one along to Cam because I know he'll love to hear it. That new voice was fantastic. And Rob and I made a deliberate strategy to just kind of let him talk because he's got most of the knowledge. So it was fun.
Uh, Perfect. The guest choice was perfect for this topic. Great questions, great answers. That's from Adam Smith. At Adam Smith.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah, we did our best. We had him before, which helped, but we had a lot of questions. I know Rob only got to a couple of his, so certainly in the future, we're hoping to have Cam back for a third appearance, and we can ask some of those questions we didn't get to. So,
I had 2 pages of questions, and I think I asked 3 of them.
so save those, Robbie. Don't let them go anywhere.
You just got to let the conversation go in whatever direction it's going to go, and sometimes you got to just hold back.
It's true.
Um, Next one, another banger episode. Fire. Keep these conversations coming. At Motherhood9.
Thanks, Motherhood. Yeah, we will continue to bring you great content. That's what we do. So, thanks for watching.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's do an Olympics one. Winter Olympics hype is real. At Sean Wayne.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, I'm glad you're hyped up. We've been hyped up. We've been watching it all weekend. It's so much fun. I know I'm really into the curling, and our mixed pair curlers are into the gold medal game, which is tomorrow. So that's really exciting. We've had a couple really great performances on the ski slopes, and there's a lot of events coming. So we're excited.
Yeah, we do love the Olympics, and it's we just get juiced up for it. Check out that episode.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Getting excited for Milan Cortina 2026 already. At Walter Bo Tybee Sanchez.
Thanks, Walter. Yeah, we are pumped too. Milan Cortina, we try to do a good job there, and we also told you about why we love Italy so much, and the fact that these Olympics are in Italy is really, really special for us. So.
Mm-hmm. Our last one, great Olympic preview and solid insights. At Ralph John Thompson.
Oh, thanks, Ralph. We appreciate it. We do our best. Keep the comments coming.
Yeah, that's the mailbag.
All right, let's do a shout out to our sponsor for tonight, and that is Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's is a longtime sponsor of the program. We love Jersey Mike's. Matter of fact, a quick anecdote. Over the weekend, we had a huge ice storm in North Carolina, and I survived on Jersey Mike's. I had multiple sandwiches I had ordered. So, Robbie, what do you think of Jersey Mike's, and what about your family?
Well, I'm always talking about the 17, the steak sandwich. I love it. The famous Philly. I went Saturday after the boys' basketball game, and everyone loaded up. We got buffalo chicken wrap. That's my girlfriend's favorite. I have my 17. Boys got different variations of turkey, and we took Uncle Bill there. So everybody got something different, and it was so good. Really fantastic place. I mean, when I walk in there, I know it's going to taste good, and it's going to be an awesome lunch. And we get dinner there too, but we really like to go there after the boys' games.
That's great. Yeah, Jersey Mike's, it's so fresh. The people are so friendly. You can order it on the app. You can order it online on the website. You can have it DoorDashed or Uber Eats to you. Go check out Jersey Mike's today and get yourself a sub and really enjoy it. I know that I love the number 13. Rob loves the 17. Tell us what you guys think.
It's just a really well-run place, and they have a good brand. and a really good product. And as a customer, they they check all the boxes. You know, they're
They do.
great.
They do. It's delicious. So go check it out today, and remember, it's a sub above.
Up above.
All right, Robbie. Well, these are our final comments. We had 6 months of football that we have commented on. We've had episode after episode of pro and college, and this is our wrap up show for the season. We got, unfortunately, 6 months to go until the next season, but the good news is we have the NFL draft coming up. We've got free agency. We've got
Oh
a lot
man,
of
we got so much to cover. Yeah.
the off season. There actually is a lot of football to talk about, so we will be doing that. But thoughts as you wrap up in your mind the
Yeah.
season now that's done.
So I'd like to say congratulations to New England Patriots on an amazing season. No one would have predicted. They won the games they needed to in front of them to get to a special game. Didn't have enough on that day, but I think they learned a lot from the experience, and they learned what they need to do next time differently. So I think they have a lot of good pieces in place now. Culture is building, um, and I think that that's only going to serve them well down the line.
You know what
Seattle,
they?
congrats.
I will say the Patriots have something special there in Vrabel and in May. May's going to get better from this.
Yeah,
This is a good
no
experience.
question. No question. Not only do I think people give up on young quarterbacks too early, but they do too much hype and too much tearing down. Um, he didn't have a great day, but he was under duress. It's hard to say how he would do under a little bit less duress.
He doesn't
Probably
have a lot of
dramatically better.
experience, Rob. He's in his second year. He doesn't have a lot of
I don't know.
experience.
He wasn't audibling out of this coverage to that coverage, this play to that play a lot. He was calling the play that they called in the huddle and went with it. And he'll get to where his experience level gets him out of these problems.
And you
Where
and you
he'll
noticed I noticed a real difference between a seventh year Sam Darnold who was throwing the ball out of bounds
yeah
and Drake May who was desperately trying to make a play, stepping up into a pocket that didn't exist, and then he was either going down or throwing a pick or fumbling. It's just different, and he's going to get that. You watch in his fifth year, his sixth year, he's going to throw
yeah.
that ball away and not make the mistake.
I like the way Darnold moves around in the pocket.
Hmm.
I think he's good at really feeling the pressure and dumping it off when needed. And I just think this was Seattle's year. I mean, there's no question about it.
Hmm. No question. Yeah, congratulations to the Seahawks. Congratulations to the Patriots
Yeah,
for a great season, and congratulations to the NFL for a fantastic season. And we wrap it up now. And we talked about the Hall of Fame inductees. We talked about all the NFL honors that came out, and we agree with all those. The college football
yeah.
season was fantastic too. We love that. And we're looking forward to both coming up.
Can't wait to see the draft and how these teams are all going to try to reload and kind of shape their rosters. And so much good sports ahead, everybody. Just so
That's
much
great.
stuff. Everything. The playoffs are going to be starting in the NBA and the NHL. March Madness, Masters. Just so much good, amazing sports. February,
Mm-hmm.
March, April, May.
And then on the college
Uh,
side, we love college baseball. We love college lacrosse.
yeah. Yep.
We love MLB has gotten better and better. They've made some really good changes there. I think the season's better.
No
So
doubt.
a lot of great stuff coming
Baseball's
your way.
baseball's in a better place.
No question. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining tonight and coming to our Super Bowl reaction show. We hope you loved the season the way we did. And please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and come on board this journey with us as we get into other sports in the off season. And
Yeah.
it's going to be a
Check
lot of
out our
fun.
merch store.
Yeah.
Check out our merch store. Got some cool stuff in there. We sure love it. We appreciate your support. Thanks for joining us on all these episodes. We've loved this football season. It's been really good. Good to see the young teams coming up, replacing of the old guard, kind of somewhat of a shuffling of the deck, and so that's healthy for the NFL. They're doing a good job overall. So
The one thing I will say, just to end it, is I do hope next year, Robbie, the commercials are a little bit better in the Super Bowl. I think that they have really fallen off, and I'm a little sad about that. I
yeah,
know you
they
and I
were a
used to
little weak.
you and I used to like to talk about them a lot. And so we didn't break them down this year because we didn't really think they were worth the time, but hopefully next year we'll get a better set.
Yeah, yeah, they were a little weak. We certainly didn't spend much time watching them. We were watching them out of the corner of our eye, but they weren't great. But hopefully they'll learn from it and put a little better lineup together next year.
Of course, we had an epic spread at Rob's house, and so we were kind of focused
Mhm.
on other things like chicken wings. So that was really fun. So, guys, drop
Yeah.
us a comment. Tell us what you had at your Super Bowl party. What were some of the food and beverage options? Let us know.
Yeah.
Guys, we'll see you next time on the Sports Guys. Have a great one. We'll see you.
Take care.